Hello, you guys. I'm so excited to share with you my awesome tips for watercolor brush markers. I have three different brands, hence my bags of tricks right here. This is my Artistro, this is my Karin brush markers, and then these are some of my Tombow markers. So I have a whole bunch of fun tips, techniques that I like to use with brush markers, and I have a stack of pre-stamped card panels that I'm going to use. I don't know if I'll get through all four of them, but we're going to paint this cute little thing for sure, and probably this thing, and then a floral. But while we're doing that, I'm also going to paint some backgrounds so you guys can see kind of how I like to use brush markers in my watercolor journey. So yay, come with me. I cannot wait to see you guys here, and I'm just going to get started getting everything. So I'll start with Tombow markers. That's what it's got me started in all of this. And then I got my Artistro and I got my Karin markers. They're all really wonderful markers. They do different things, and I just enjoy playing with them. And I don't need all three different brands. However, I started with Tombow, and I do like Karin markers. Karin markers are a little bit different than the other two. And Artistro was actually really, I was surprised at the wonderful quality of Artistro. And so I like Artistro for like my everyday, just when I want to doodle and color. I have those. So anyways, lots of fun stuff. And welcome. Okay, so I like to have a blending palette. This is a Tombow blending palette. It can be used for anything, and you can actually use like any kind of palette that you have. This is just a laminated piece of paper, and I will put markers on here and then pick up the ink with a brush, and so that really works. And so sometimes I don't clean up after myself. What? So I'm going to get that all cleaned up too. I got my water ready to go, but I do like Tombow. Tombow markers don't really stain, which is really nice. So there's a couple ways to use brush markers, and I'll share my thoughts and my wonderful techniques. But if I'm looking for a simple background, there's a couple ways you can color this, right? And just get ink on a palette and spray it really well. There's the ink, and then I can smush it. And that's really kind of fun just for a simple watercolor background. I don't know if I use this very often, but it is fun to get a nice little background. And I can go in, and I don't want to waste any of that ink, right? And then I can take my brush and just not have the hard lines and move that ink around a little bit as well. And then maybe I'll go in with a yellow brush or yellow pigment, and then I'll get some green, and then I could just stamp a simple like hello or something, which I have on my palette, and that would look really pretty. So let's do that. We'll just get some yellow right here, and so instead of putting on top of the blue, and I might even need some, I'm gonna go like this. Just, you just want to soak it up, soak up the pigment. And voila, there we go, we got it. That looks really pretty. I'm really loving this green color right here, so why not just add to the beauty of it. Yeah, I think that's fun. That'll be a fun, I'm just going to leave it like that, and just plan on stamping something very simple. I can always go in and add doodles if I want. Tombow markers. This is the brush tip. So if I were to, I can do a whole lot. I should just have, I could do like brush markers or brush lettering. This is a great technique for brush lettering. Do your hills. And so like if I were to write love, pressure going down, right? So pressure down, not as much pressure. So pressure going down, something like that. I could do that with this brush tip marker. I love it for that. Otherwise, I could use the fine tip and I could add fun little marks, right? Whatever kind of marks you're looking for. I can cross hatch. I could do like wavy lines like bark or waves at the sea, right? Like mark making. It's so Tombow markers is what got me started, and I do love Tombow markers for the versatility of Tombow markers. But look at how pretty that ink is. I mean, Tombow markers really, I think, sets the gold standard for brush markers, and that's why I like Tombow markers so much. All right, but I want to show you some other ones because I've had a couple people ask like, what's your favorite brand? And these three are my favorite brands for different reasons. And I will show you why I like Karin markers. Karin markers are, oh, this is the Artistro set. Karin markers are my other favorite. I got the three, but they come in, you can buy them individually. You can also buy Tombow individually, but they're not as easy to buy them individually. Whereas these, if you go to an art store, you can say, well, I'm out of my gold, so I need more, I need another gold, so without buying like the whole set. So I like that for that reason. But the really good reason why I like, I'll take these two colors, is the blendability. So I could just on the water, look at how juicy that is. That's so gorgeously juicy. And I like to do color meditations when I'm not feeling, when I just need to play with color. These are my favorite. But look at this tip. This tip is awesome. And I always get my B a little off, but that's okay. You get the idea. And there's only one tip, so it's not as easy to do your line work, but that you don't necessarily need to do line work with these. They're made for illustration and calligraphy and graphic design, but for our purposes, we do illustration and calligraphy the most, and I would say that these are fantastic for that. Yeah, and I like these because you can, they blend so well with each other. If I just add a little bit of water, I can get this beautiful color, and it almost looks like I painted it in watercolor to start with, but you know I didn't. And so you can get this gorgeous, gorgeous watercolor look without a whole lot of trying, I guess is what I would say. And if you don't like a line, you can just kind of erase it. I just love the pigment. The pigment is what has sold me on the Karin markers. And so those are really fun. Okay. Yeah, and if I don't like something, I just erase it with my water. I just love Karin markers for this, but I think I'll make this into some kind of variegated wash. But it's fun. That's fun. All right, so now I'll go into my Artistro colors, and then we'll paint some things with each brush brand, with each brand. Artistro, you buy them in a set, and this is the most economic way to get started with brush pens. The difference between these and the other two is, first, this is student grade, so not as nice, but the tip is brush, like they are. It's literally a brush tip, which is kind of fun. But that does not mean, it just means that I can get a really fine and I can get a really thick brush. So really fun for florals and for calligraphy. So you can see how much fun these brush tips can really be. I love using these with, well, I just love playing with these. I have had these for almost 2 years, and they are well loved. Some of the some of the name is completely off because I like them so much, but because I've used them weekly, and I think they were like maybe 25, maybe 30 for like 36 colors. Like there's a lot of colors here. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I totally recommend Artistro watercolor brush pens. I enjoy painting florals and landscapes with these. These are what I take when I go traveling, out and about. Like, I just love them. And so I can take a couple of colors. We'll do green to start with. And I always like to go light to dark. You don't have to, but just to practice. Like, this is probably more minty. Light green is what it's called. But this one is jungle green. I do like jungle green. And you just play with the colors. It's a little bit lighter, but this one should be darker and pretty. And then once I get like the color that I want, so this would be, these are really fun for landscapes. They're just fun to paint with. And I messed up the line, but you get the idea. Like there's lots of fun ways to use these, and that's why I called this the fun, having fun with brush pens, because there's no like wrong way to do it. I like to also do, like, you can draw with these really easy. Like here's I'm just drawing like maybe leaves on a tree or something, and like this is going to be the tree. And then I can go in with my darks and just be like, here's some more of my tree, right? And then I'll go in with a marker and be like, I know this is very elementary, but you get the idea, right? Like you can draw with them just as much as you can paint with them. And I like that as well. So let's play a little bit. I have some card panels, and I really truly love the Best Friends Make the Good Times Better and the Hard Times Easier. Isn't that a great one? So I'm going to go ahead and paint that. And with that, I have some dogs, a dog and a cat, and I think I'm going to do like a brownish dog. And I'm going to need some green, which I already have some green. We'll just leave that where it is. I do like a yellow ochre, and that is usually a lighter yellow, but I'll probably go with like the sunflower yellow. And like a light brown of some sort. Sometimes I often feel like less is more, but we have all these colors, we might as well use them. So I'm gonna go with this color, brown. And I know I need probably some cute, pretty, cool blue. This looks like a nice blue. This is called Seaside Blue, which also makes for a really pretty sky. And I'm going to use a sky blue right here. And I'm going to use those two blues together. And to save on my mess, I'm going to clean this up, put them back in my bag. You could definitely like keep all of these. You could get like your split primary color set, and then just keep the rest like somewhere else and just have like 6 or so to go with. But I wanted to show you the whole collection. So I'm going to go ahead and move my Tombow markers out of the way as well. So then we have less stuff to look at. And let's get started. Okay. I always like to use a paper towel to go with it, and here's some more pens. And I like to start with my background and then work on my uh, so background first, and then my focus, and then my midground or my foreground, depending on how I paint. Alright, so let's start with the Seaside Blue. And I'm going to want my blendable palette as well. Probably shouldn't start with that, but because we always work light to dark, I'm going to get my paintbrush. My water is just like right there. And I'm going to dab it up a little bit. I don't need a whole lot. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to start negative painting. And it's okay if I go in a little bit with the dog because I'm going to cover that up with some brown. And this blue is not going to make one difference if it's a little bit blue or not. We just don't want it to be white paper. This stamp is from Colorado Craft Company, which I thoroughly love and enjoy, and I wish them all the best. I hope they continue to do what they do. I'm just adding color to the palette so then I can grab it when I need it. I think when I stamped this, I was thinking it would be like some kind of like dramatic background for the sky. But I kind of like it just being simple and being blue. I'm going to add a little bit more water just to wet this down a little bit. And now I'm going to go right in wherever I feel like maybe I just want to get a good outline. And I don't want it to look like I outlined it, so I'm going to go back in with the brush and soften those edges. Just like that. Okay. This is about as much time as I want to spend on the background. Truth be told, I want to get to the actual other parts of the card. And I do like Artistro. Okay, that's looking really good. I'm gonna leave it the way it is. Oh, my thing doesn't want to. I'm gonna see if moving my thing down a bit will help. There you go. That's probably 100 times better. And you can probably see a bit more. There. All right. Now we can go in with the green. And we're going to go with light green. And I just want to get pigment onto the paper. Okay. I do like how the pigment moves on this watercolor paper. It wasn't very hard to get to paint pigment onto the paper and then to add some water. Ooh, look at that beautiful green. We're going to need to tone that green a little bit down and add some depth to it. So we're going to add some of this jade. Oh yeah, that's going to work. Woohoo! I do use these brushes like a paintbrush, but then I also use my paintbrush to blend it just a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, that's blending quite well. But let me show you why I like the Karin markers. If I am actually going to paint and I have my Karin markers at all close to me, I'm using my Karin markers. So let me show you what that looks like with pretty much the same kind of technique. I'm doing the background, right? And I'm going to show, I'm going to okay. I'm looking for greens and yellows, and sometimes if I had a really pretty studio space, I would have them all lined up in a beautiful spot, and everyone would be able to see how beautiful my art supplies are. But reality is, I'm on the go too much, and when I want my art supplies, I want them now. I don't want to pack them up. So I have found that that doesn't work for me. I do like lush green, and I really like green gold. We'll see. Here's some more greens that I like. I don't like olive green either, but I do like the grass green. Those two together are pretty. And then I have turquoise would be pretty for the greens as well. And then I need like a really light blue, which is right here. There we go. All right, we're going to start with these three colors. It's very bluish. Maybe I need some, I'll take a gold too to go with it to make the trees look a little bit more. All right. And this one is also from Colorado Craft Company, and the illustrator is Anita Jaram. I love her. She's awesome. But what I like about this is I can go in, and I'm just gonna, I use my tip a lot too. I can go in, and as long as I'm pretty fast, it stays wet on the paper. But it's already wanting to mix, which is perfect. Okay. And now I'm just going to add some water. I don't want to too much. I want it to look airy. Like you're in the countryside. That will work. But you see how I didn't have to do a whole lot of work to it. Same thing down here. I'm going to go ahead and just add my marker. Like, it's just, they're so juicy. I can't get over how juicy they are. And a little bit goes a long way. Like, for sure. I feel like you just have a little bit more freedom with the Karin brushes than you do with Artistro brushes. But Karin brushes are $6 a piece compared to Artistro brushes, which are probably closer to $1 a piece. So I'm not comparing apples to apples here. I can't compare professional product to student grade product and expect the same result. These are definitely professional because they just do exactly what you tell them to do without a whole lot of fuss or muss. Yeah, I like that. But there you go. That's why I like Karin markers a bit more. And then for the sky, sometimes I like to outline and then just let the watercolor go wherever. And lately I've been painting my cats like orange. Although I did just see one of my good friends just got a gray cat, well, a gray cat and two like calico cats. So I might have to start painting a couple more of these in gray and light yellow, like a yellow ochre kind of color, which would also look pretty. Okay. And now because I'm working fast, I'm just gonna start blending my edges because I don't like edges. I feel like edges in watercolor are only there for when you really need to add definition, which I don't need to. So no edges. That's looking really pretty. And again, wherever you stop, and the ink just kind of leaves. But that's indicative to watercolor brush pens as well. Okay, we got a good thing happening. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more blue. Especially right here. And right here. Yeah, and then I would let that dry and then I'll start working on the top with the greens, which I could start now, and that would not be a problem. I feel like this should be, I'm just gonna play. Who knows, maybe there's a tree right here, and then maybe we'll add a little bit of yellow to it. It's back in the background. You just have to give the essence of the tree. Yeah, I like this. I'm just dipping my paintbrush into water to get it wet to move this color around. Now if I wanted to, I can just add a little bit of, see how it just blends on the paper? It just moves on the paper. That's kind of what I expect it to do. But it makes it so easy with these Karin markers that I don't really have to do a whole lot of work to it. So when you can use your mediums to your advantage, that's always the best. Okay, that's looking really good. I like that. I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm going to go on. Now let's play with Tombow. Tombow markers, very much like the same. I just did not use the right, I was using, I was using landscape colors instead of pretty bright flowers. So this hibiscus might look a little bit muted. I'm gonna have to go back with, okay, let's do some Tombow markers. I should have more than enough to make something work. For some reason I had landscapes in my mind for Tombow markers. I like to use my Tombow markers with landscapes. Since I have this ink out, I'm going to go ahead and just use it up right here. Why waste good ink? feel like there should be music in the background. So when I'm doing a big background like this, I like to have a lot of water on my brush, and I like to just keep going with it the whole way through. And again, this was just leftover pigment from the palette that I didn't want to wipe up when I could potentially use it for something else. I don't know if I'm really saving anything, but I like to think so. I might keep this blue watercolor background the way it is. It's kind of pretty. It reminds me of the flower vining up like in the sky. So, you know, anyways, we're going to do yellow and red. We're going to start with yellow. I'm going to clean off this palette. And I probably don't need to put yellow on the palette, so let's not. I don't really feel like, making it happen. Yeah. Alright. Now for the red, I am going to go in and do this. And then once I get that one petal done, then I'm just going to move this pigment down like this. And you can kind of tell how bright and colorful this is. And I know I've done this flower before on a live with watercolor. So there's another way that I like to use this, and so I just used a flat wash from what was just the pigment that was on my brush from over here. And then what I can do, which is also fun, I'm just going to outline this, and it's going to have like this really soft edge to it because I'm coloring on white or on wet paper. It's not as dark or contrasty. And then I can take my brush, dip it, clean it a little bit, dampen it up, and just move that color where I need it to. Which also works really well. So I will say Tombows are some of my favorites to work with. And I like Tombow because you can buy them individually. They're way more expensive than in a set. But if you only need one color, then it might be worth it. So you see how it's done. And then so on and so forth with the other two petals. Ooh, that's so pretty. And now, if you have looked at some hibiscuses, they're really dark in the center to give it like that bullseye effect for the birds. So I feel like if I'm not doing that, I'm not doing the hibiscus justice. And I love these tips on Tombow. They make me happy. There, that one's done, and that looks really pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? Tombow markers really, I mean, geez, there's a reason why they are probably the gold standard for water brush markers. There's just a lot you can do with them. I think that's good. Now, I want my flower to be just a little bit lighter than my main flower, so I'm just gonna pick up some watercolor. I really hope you find this helpful. If you do, I'm doing live lessons every Thursday. Every Thursday on the watercolor card channel or card watercolor Facebook, and then I post this to the Facebook group, and then I will also be posting this to YouTube. But I would love a live audience because then I can answer questions and it's just fun. So anyways, put it in your calendar. Live Thursday at noon Central Standard Time. So I love all of that that's happening. I forgot this little green spot right here. So that's going like right there. And then, ooh, that looks like it needs to be darker. And that could be darker. And we're just gonna kind of mean where I think things need to be darker. Doesn't always happen. This one definitely needs to be darker right there. This one needs to be darker. And that. And I don't actually need to do a whole lot of blending, but there's a line that I just don't love right there and right there and right there. Now that looks gorgeous. So it's pushing and pulling your values there. I'm thinking this is about done. I have just a little bit more of that turquoise that I need, but red and turquoise I think make for such a pretty card. And then I think I'll stamp like a thinking of you, or I don't know, thinking of you probably. I seem to need lots of thinking of you cards. And who doesn't like hibiscus cards? So there we go. There is one done, and it's good. I mean, I could spend another hour pushing and pulling my values. You don't have that kind of time, so I'm not going to. I could do that with the edges too, but usually I'll just put on some good music and just kind of get lost in it, and that's really kind of the trick to good art is you don't finish until you get exactly what you want. So, but this is good. I think a nice hello beautiful or thinking of you or something cute like that would work. Okay, let's go back to the Artistro ones. This is totally dry. I can get my cat and my dog all ready to go. I'm going to clean off this little brush palette. And be on my merry way. Okay. Move these ones out. Here is my animal palette. You could also use a brush pen. I'll use a brush pen so you guys can see how a brush pen works. It's no different than a regular brush, so this is great for being outside. I don't know, I know there's a lot of campers in the group, and I'm just gonna make sure, yeah, that's a little bit dark. So let's get my little, anyways, I know there's campers in the group that probably can't always camp out with all the supplies, so brush markers really come in handy for that, I think. So I'm just doing a light wash on both of these animals. If you have a cat or a dog, I'd love to hear their names, and were you a cat or a dog person before you got the pet, and are you now? I felt like I was kind of a dog person, but I didn't know I was such a dog person until I got my first dog. And then I'm like, okay, nothing, you know, you don't look back. We are definitely dog people at our house. Remember, this is just a first layer. I'm just trying to get the color blocked in. get a kind of an idea of what I'm looking for. And my dog right now, that is, her belly is a lot lighter on the inside than darker. But all right, there's a nice little color block happening right there. Now with the same pen, this is the same, right, same color. I'm gonna go back in and I'm just gonna add a little bit, and look at how much darker that gets. Holy moly, a little goes a long way. You don't want to do too much, but I do think a little bit goes a long way. And now this brush tip that I have, I'm going to just get it wet. And now I'm just moving where I think the curves should be, just to give it some depth. This cat just cracks me up. There! Oh my gosh, that's looking perfect. And now we could do the same for the dog, except for I'm going to add a warmth tone, so maybe it's more like a golden doodle. So I did not know this about my personal family. Oops. I used Karin. I didn't mean to. I just picked up. I know that the rosewood is my favorite, like yellowish color. I meant to use an Artistro brush. Whoops. But when you have them all out and you're in the flow of things, you just go with what your brain tells you to do. Anyways, that's okay. It's mixed media. It all works. There, I like that yellow. I don't know if you can see it. There's just a little bit of yellow and it's just lovely. In fact, I need a little bit more. And since I use rosewood, I might as well just go with it, right? Oh, whoops. Oh, well. Could be worse, right? Could I put red or something on it? All right, I'm good with that. But I do love rosewood. If you don't get any, if you only get one color with Karin markers, I do recommend the rosewood. It's a neutral yellow, and it works really well for animals. All right, let's go in with this dark brown. I'm just gonna add some shadow to it, and it's already wet, so it should blend pretty nicely. Whoosh. And I don't want the whole dog to look brown. I just want some shadow. But for that to happen, you do kind of have to be very diligent. There, maybe it's a brindle. Maybe this golden doodle is more brindle than anything, but that's okay. I know enough dog lovers that will just love this card. And I don't actually, I'm just moving it with the curve of where the body should be. Like, I know that this is like a thigh, so I want it to look more like a thigh on the dog. And I know that this is the belly, so I want to move my brush strokes like a belly. And then for the brown, for the nose, I just want to clean that up a little bit. Just smooth out the lines. And for the feet, I probably didn't need to do the whole feet, but I did, and that's okay. I don't think that looks terrible. And I think I'm going to call this done. Now, had I not used rosewood on the dog, I had a yellow, and this was going to be the yellow. It's a sunflower yellow, and it would have probably done the same thing. Yep. I forgot what brand I was using, but I'll go back in and just add some more of that golden color to it, so it looks a little more like a golden doodle. Oh well, and then I could do the same thing with the cat, but instead let's go with orange. Just add a little bit of neutral orange. This is Cantaloupe from Artistro. I don't think it's not gonna add a whole lot, but it's gonna do something. It's just gonna add a little bit of warmth to it, so it doesn't look just brown, and I like that. That will work. And then what I could do is I could cut this right here and just add some cute puppy dog pattern paper right up there, and that would look really, really darling. Otherwise, let's go with the sky blue and just own it, right? I'm all about owning my skies. This is the only thing that I love Artistro for the quality and the price, right? I don't love it for when I want to do like a whole big color block. That's the only thing. And I did dip this into water. I think it'll be fine. And I'm going to start at the top and work my way to the bottom. I want a lot of water. And where was that other blue at? Yeah. See, and now I can just kind of add some and it'll look like a wispy, sunny day with wispy clouds. Yeah, there we go. I think that works. And I think that's going to be really pretty for a simple watercolor card. I love it. So fun. All right, let that dry. And now we're to Tombow markers again. Yay for Tombow. Maybe this time I can actually put my watercolor brushes away. Okay. All right, so I had, this is my Karin markers, not Tombow. I already did my Tombow markers with my, all right, let's get our, there's my Karin markers. These are, for sure, gonna be fun. All right, so with this, I'm gonna start with the kitty cats first. So we'll go with that rosewood, and I'm just gonna paint most of it. I'm also gonna do the swing. I don't know what color we'll do the swing. Sometimes I like to make a really fun color. I think I'll make this really neutral. Okay. And I'm going to use a brush. And we're just adding some water to it. That is all. We're just getting it wet, blending the colors, making it work. And now I'm going to go, this is cocoa. I don't know if it really matters. Cocoa, in my opinion, whoosh, that's a little too dark. Definitely packs a punch, and if you're not careful and you don't know your color theory quite well, it's gonna look a little bit red if you add too much, but that looks about right. I don't want to do a whole lot more to that cat. I'm going to do the same thing that I did. I'm going to just a tiny bit. I'm just dotting in, like absolutely not adding, not outlining it by any means. Okay. And then this hand is going to be darker. And the belly, I don't really want to be darker, but it's probably going to have to be. Maybe we call him Mittens. I don't know. He's a cutie. There's not a whole lot I need to do here. If anything, I'm just going to. I'm going to clean up that one eye. Looks kind of dark right there. But you can lift a little bit off of the brush markers. It depends on the brush marker, of course. But you can. It's not always easy. because it is ink, so it is staining. And then I'm going to go back in here and just add a little bit of that yellow back. Okay. Rosewood is my favorite for animals, just like as a base. If it's brown or yellow, it really works. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and just do the swing. Whoosh. And now for the tree. What I like to do with the tree is I will go way dark. I'm not outlining it, but I'm definitely wanting to make sure that the cats get the most attention. Okay. Now I can go in and it just adds so much. I just love these Karin brush markers. They are expensive. They are about $6 a piece. I think my set was around $100, and that wasn't for all the colors. And then I went in to Blick and I bought the rest of the markers when I had a little bit of extra money to spend. So there's some shadow right here. I'm gonna go in like that. This little tail is just gonna have to be this little pretty color right there. Let that one do its thing. Come back in here, do that. I'm not coloring the whole branch, just some of it. I'm gonna come back in here. I feel like if I do it to one side, I should probably do it to the other side. And that just makes sense to have it rocky right there. And there's already like a bloom, so I might as well just kind of own it. Yeah, something like that. And I would call this done. So pretty. I could spend a little bit more time cleaning up some of my edges. For example, right here, and I'm using a light blue. And then I can go in and just add, I almost just need a little black pen. So sometimes it's nice to have like a black Tombow marker handy, just so you can go in and make those strings happen. There. And I see just a tiny bit of white right here. I see some white in places that I don't think it needs to be white. So I'm just gonna blend that out. Like I said, I could spend more time on the tree. I'm not going to, but I could. And then just reactivate that color and get that color to go where you need it to. And it's done, and I'm feeling really good about it. So here's these three. Which brand do you think you would use? I mean, it really depends on the artist, right? Like, all three of them are just lovely cards, and I enjoy using all of them. There's not one that I don't love. I like Artistro for the economic value. I can just keep it in my bag and go. I love my Tombow for the blendability and just the ease of color mixing. And then I like my Karin markers for the vibrant and intensity of the ink that it gives us. So, you know, like, there's no wrong answer here. It's whatever your budget will allow and what you enjoy as a crafter. An all-purpose brush marker would definitely be Tombow because of the brush tip, and then the small tip. But that's what I started with, and that's what I love. And then I branched into other brush markers because I just love brush markers so much. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'd love to know in the comments if one of these brands you're going towards more. Just because I use them on a, at least for sure on a monthly basis, sometimes on a weekly basis, and I just have fun playing. So anyways, I hope this helps. Of course, these came from Colorado Craft Company, the stamps did, and if you want the actual stamp, I will gladly give you that information in the comments section. But if you like these videos, please tune in every Thursday at noon. We're going to do live videos of different art projects and things, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.